I stole $100 from my work's charity. This will be the start of a recurring segment on this channel, which will be Reddit user confessions. Enjoy. I broke every rule as a resident advisor, resident assistant. I graduated in 2020 and these kiddos are doing their final semester now, so I can say this. It started as an accident and ended as a game to see how much I could get away with. The accident was falling for the cutest boy in my hall. The sex was fantastic. I partied all night with my residents. I wasn't 21 yet, but I used my fake ID to buy the alcohol. I made edibles for my residents. I never wrote any of them up. I never did room searches. I still went to my sorority events. I went to Coachella weekend, Big Bear and Vegas weekends without telling my supervisors. I didn't do my job and had a lot of fun while taking advantage of the free food and housing. I used the hall budget to buy more alcohol and snacks for the floor instead of throwing informative hall programs. No one got hurt. I had 2 rules. 1. No inebriated driving, and 2. No throwing up after Hello Weekend. I figured they should know how to hold alcohol by then. If anything, they were more willing to come to me in an emergency because they knew I was chill and I wouldn't get them in trouble. My residents kept my negligence quiet because they didn't want me to get fired. All the other RAs were lame. They gave me an award for being the top RA that year and asked me to come back the following year. I declined that offer. I just never told them that I was a terrible influence. If you trusted me with your 18-year-old college freshman, I am sorry. But we had a great time. I lied to an old employer about my previous pay rate. I had never been given more than $10 an hour working in the food industry and I got really fed up. So, a buddy of mine told me that next time I look for a job I should say I was being paid more than I actually was, since it's illegal for potential employers to ask previous employers about that, in an effort to have them give me more. It worked. My previous pay rate was $10 an hour, and while I was interviewing for a new job I told the hiring manager that I was making $13 an hour. He said he couldn't start me off the high but asked me if I was okay with $12.75 an hour. Boom, a quick $2.75 raise, and I left an old SHD job behind. I spent £200 on building a lie to get myself a decent acting agent. This all started when I wanted to start acting, long shot I know, but I went to college and started my journey. After my first year of college all of the classes were moved from 3 colleges into 1. Out of 120 people that passed that year, there were only space for about 50 in the new class. I wasn't one of them. I hated college but still wanted to act, so I done what any wannabe actor does and signed up for an extras agency. It was slow and all of the jobs were really hard work. Extras don't get enough recognition, I think. After about a year, I landed a small role in a very large well-known film. The casting went everywhere to find what they were looking for and I was thankfully that. The experience was so different and amazing compared to being an extra, but I knew I'd need a better agent if I wanted more. About 6 months after the movie released I spent weeks emailing agents and looking for a chance, but unless you have experience, a good show reel or a master's in acting they won't go near you. I set to work on the line. I know a guy who's been working as a cameraman/photographer for a while now and he does great work, so we spoke and agreed a price of £200 for me to have him come out for 8 hours with me and edit everything together. We wrote 6 short scenes only lasting about 2 minutes each, brought along multiple costume changes and I drove us to different locations to shoot each one. Once we finished we went our separate ways and about a week later he sent me the edited version. We got it down to 4 short scenes, one of which was real and from the movie I was in and the rest were completely fabricated. With my fake show reel and fake movie names I sent it to 3 different agencies. I already had a full description of what the movies were about and why none of them could be found online, stuff like it's still in production and are using a different name for anonymity and the budget ran out and are waiting on funds to continue the shoot. This landed me a half-decent agent, and since being with her, I have had auditions for huge films and have made a lot of money for the roles I got. This started about 1.5 years ago, and she has never asked me about those fake movies. I lied to my employer about having a master's degree. One of the worst lies I made in my life, tbh, ... and it wasn't even a requirement for my job, and I didn't even do it to get hired. I was already working at my job at that time as a lowly intern with my bachelor's degree, trying to make my way up the ranks. I started coming in late to work a bit because I moved far away from the job, so I made up an excuse that I was trying to go back to school to get a higher education degree at that time. I was already an excellent employee and probably would have gotten a full-time role pretty soon if I didn't lie. Well, that lie cost me an extra 2 years as being an intern, and after a certain point I just had to assume that I had the degree. Now everyone assumes I got a degree that I don't. That was tilde 5 years ago now, and I started working tilde 7-8 years ago for this company. Nothing was gained out of this lie, as the position I am in does not require this degree, and my boss didn't even know until I told him. I am still getting paid pretty much the equivalent of a mid-range bachelor's degree holder, as a master's really doesn't make any difference. It was a blatant lie out of a lack of courage without really any intent to defraud the company / get a job I didn't really qualify for. I regret doing it, and at this point I'm kinda stuck with it. I probably should just look for new positions and let it go. I stole a lot of money from my parents as a teenager. When I was a teenager, I used to steal money from my parents' saving, which they always stored in cash. It was meant for the things around new house, but my teenager stupidity and interest in Dr. GS at that time stopped me from thinking clearly. Altogether I stole few €100 from them, and I spent it all on alcohol, Dr. GS, and occasionally on fast food. Now I have a job and I am trying to save, so I can pay them back in the future. They don't know about it, and I don't plan on telling them. I also stole a lot of things from shops, like clothes and food. But that I can't repay. I am not proud of myself about it. At least I realized my wrongdoings, but the fact that I made life harder for those around me only because of my selfishness will haunt me for a long time. Edit. Thank you guys for all your kind words, different perspectives, awards, and support. After all those comments, I might consider telling them. It is nice to know that I'm not the only one who did this stupid mistake, and more importantly, that you earned your forgiveness. It gives me hope that I can earn it too. Thanks again. I flung a baby carrot at a woman's face, and nobody knew it was me. It was sophomore year of high school. It was the first day back after Christmas break, and all of my lunch table friends were still on their vacations. So there, alone, I sat. I had a pack of baby carrots, and I wasn't exactly going to eat them. And I noticed they had a lot of moisture. I squeezed one as hard as I could toward its end, and it flew up about a foot and landed on the table. Interesting. There was a trash can about 20 feet from me, and I figured I'd try to aim my carrot hand cannon at it and see if I could make any baskets. 1 carrot, 2 carrots ... 3 carrots, no dice. 4th carrot is locked and loaded, but I got ahead of myself and flung at 500 miles per hour backward. Oh ooh. I hear a girl scream. I turn around, and as it turns out, my carrot hit her in the face. Her face and her hands like she was holding back tears. Who the FCK threw that? Her 8 feet 400 pounds linebacker boyfriend boomed. I cowered in my seat, kept my head low. But then I realized that I would look more suspicious that way, so I turned around and acted shocked like everyone else. I chucked a baby carrot at this girl's face and acted like nothing happened. I, unbeknownst to everyone else, became the mystery carrot flinger that year. I stole $100 from my work's charity. At my old job I was given the role of treasurer for the company's charity. They prided themselves on employees volunteering every year to raise money. Millions was typically raised through events and direct donations. Although I wasn't interested, I was voluntold. The amount of work was insane, and I was reprimanded for slacking in my actual job while trying to keep up with the charity. So, I was pretty miserable. One specific part of my job was to collect and reconcile funds from events. These events were organized by other employee volunteers. We had different locations all over, so there would be tons of events. We had a rule that all funds collected had to be converted to a bank draft. I would then give the bank draft to an admin for depositing. One specific volunteer was responsible for events at our corporate headquarters. So, the events were pretty big. He was last to provide funds. He showed up at my desk with $2,000 collected, $1,500 in small bills and $500 in coins. I tried to get him to bring them to the bank for a bank draft, but he refused. The cash sat in my locked drawer for about 4 weeks before I got it deposited. I just procrastinated since I was busy with other work. I ended up taking about $100 in total for personal things. I took a few 20s a couple times for lunch. Couple times I needed bus fare. One time I was low on gas and needed cash. It was easy to hide as no one reconciled deposited cash to collected. The lack of bank draft made it easy to change one number by $100. Looking back, I don't feel very guilty. I worked late nights and long hours on that charity and didn't get paid any overtime. I was treated like SHT in that company and was refused raises multiple times. I feel like $100 isn't big in the grand scheme when millions are being raised. I badmouthed a teacher in writing and consequently got another student suspended in the process. This was years ago in 5th grade. I was a pretty naughty kid in class. There were times where I would get kicked out of the classroom, for a few minutes, as a form of disciplinary action for my behavior. Nothing serious, I was just a generally noisy and annoying student at the most. There was one student in 6th grade that was an asshole to my friend, and things about him being a bully were being said among the 5th and 6th grade students on our school. In one of the times I got sent out of the classroom, I got the idea to try to get back on the teacher who sent me out, but in a way that it wouldn't be known as me. At least, that was what I intended. So, I wrote something on the school bathroom wall bad-mouthing him, saying something like "son of a teacher." As classes ended that day, eventually somebody was bound to find it, and some students did. Upon being told about it, the particular teacher looked into it himself to find out who did that to him. Based on the handwriting, which I changed drastically to avoid attention, his suspicions geared towards some of the troublesome 6th graders. I watched them defend themselves, got taken to the principal's office, and last I heard the particular 6th grader I mentioned was the one who got blamed, and he wasn't allowed to enroll in that school for the following school year. I didn't really intend for that particular bully to be suspended, but it did. I didn't come forward on the matter because it was immediately settled, and I was too much of a coward to do so. Every time I think about it I still feel guilty. Revenge is something that I gotta admit I've always been wanting to be onto. I've been bullied a lot as well. Up until today I've always tried to be the bigger person and not give in to my desire for it, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not easy. Even with guilt driving me to be better, it's still pretty difficult. That's my first confession. I'm bored and lockdown situations are starting to get to me, I guess, and I just want someone else to talk to aside from my friends. Thanks for reading, and pardon my English. Not my native language. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more quality content. Leave a comment if you have any suggestions. Goodbye.